People love to say they can't start because they don't have money. That's the first excuse they run to. I would start a business, but I don't have capital. I would follow my dream, but I'm broke. Let me tell you something, real money is never the first thing you need. The first thing you need is courage. Courage is what gets you started when everything around you says, stop. Courage is the fire that burns inside you when the world turns its back. It's not money that changes your life. It's a decision, a bold, terrifying, unapologetic decision to begin with nothing. Every great story you've ever heard, the real ones, began in the dirt. They didn't have investors. They didn't have teams. They didn't have the right gear or education. What they had was something even more powerful. They had belief. They had the nerve to try. Because courage is what turns nothing into something. Money follows value, and value comes from action, and action comes from courage. Do you see the chain? Courage is the engine. It moves you from idea to execution, from fear to action, from dreamer to builder. But here's what stops most people. They think courage means not being scared. That's wrong. Courage is feeling the fear and still moving, still speaking, still building, still showing up. You're not supposed to feel ready. You're supposed to feel the fire and move anyway. Think about it. How many times have you waited for money, waited for the right time, waited for people to support you? And what happened? You kept waiting because waiting is addictive. It feels safe. But the truth is, it's a trap. When you start with nothing, your courage is your currency. Your work ethic is your investment. Your grit is your profit. So stop asking, what if I fail? Start asking, what if I never try? That's a real risk. You don't need a fancy plan. You need to believe in yourself more than you fear the outcome. That belief, that courage, is how empires are born from empty pockets. So today, stop counting your money, count your courage, and go build. People love to measure success by what you have, your bank balance, your tools, your education, your connections. But here's the truth. They don't teach in school what you have doesn't matter half as much as what you can do with it. Success doesn't belong to the most resourced. It belongs to the most resourceful. Some people have everything handed to them, money, access, support, and still fail. Others start with absolutely nothing and build something unstoppable. What's the difference? It's not tools. It's mindset. The resourceful mind asks, how can I make this work? The average mind asks, why is this so hard? When your resourceful limitations become fuel. You turn a smartphone into a production studio. You turn a free internet connection into your university. You turn rejection into redirection. You don't complain about what you don't have. You maximize what's in your hand. History doesn't remember people who waited. It remembers those who created. And creation isn't about having it all. It's about doing something bold with what little you've got. You think your environment is stopping you. No, your excuses are. The truth is, every tool you need to start is already within reach. You've got creativity. You've got time. You've got hunger. Use them. We live in an age where you can learn any skill for free. You can reach out to any expert online. You can build a brand from your bedroom. But people still say they're stuck, not because they're stuck, but because they're scared to move without certainty. Resourcefulness doesn't wait for permission. It finds a way. So here's your wake up call. Stop blaming your background. Stop blaming the system. Stop blaming what you lack. That's wasted energy. Start asking better questions. Not, why don't I have more? But what can I do with what I've got? Because that shift, that simple shift, will unlock your next level. You may not have resources. That's okay. But if you commit to being resourceful, you'll eventually create every resource you need. And once you build from nothing, no one can ever take it away from you because you didn't inherit it. You earned it with hustle, with hunger, with heart. You keep waiting for the right time, the right look, the right tools, the perfect idea, the perfect version of your dream. But let me give it to you straight, perfect never comes. And the longer you wait to start, the further your dream drifts away. Great things don't start beautiful. They start messy, uncertain, broken, and unfinished. The first version of every masterpiece is ugly. The first product is rough. The first video is awkward. The first speech is nervous, but that's exactly how it's supposed to be, because growth happens in motion, not in perfection. You want to start a business, don't wait for the big logo, the website, or the funding. Start selling something. Start solving a problem. You want to be a speaker. Don't wait for a stage. Speak in a room, record yourself, and speak anyway. You want to be great, then get used to being uncomfortable. Get used to starting when it's not ready, because the truth is action builds clarity. Progress brings precision. Every step you take teaches you something you'll never learn by planning alone. But if you keep rehearsing in your head and never release it to the world, all your dreams become daydreams. Unpublished genius is worthless. Do you know who wins in life? Not the smartest, not the most prepared. The ones who start, the ones who are brave enough to launch before they're ready, bold enough to risk failure, humble enough to learn on the move. When you start small, you give yourself permission to grow. And when you start ugly, you free yourself from the trap of waiting for perfection. Look around. The biggest brands, the most iconic names, the world-changing ideas, they all started small, raw, and scrappy. But they started, that's the key word. While others were talking, they were building. While others were planning, they were executing. While others were dreaming, they were delivering. So don't wait for the perfect version of your idea. That version doesn't exist, and it never will until you build the first version. Right now, imperfect, unpolished, unready, but real. Because done beats perfect, ugly beats nothing. Small steps beat stillness. Your dream doesn't need more time, it needs a start. Today, this hour, this moment. No more excuses, no more waiting. Start ugly, start small, just start. You scroll through social media and see people winning, buying cars, launching businesses, speaking on stages, living the life you want. And suddenly you feel like you're falling behind. You think, why not me? What am I doing wrong? But here's the truth. No one tells you, you are not behind. You are in training. Every champion was once a contender that nobody clapped for. Every master was once a beginner surrounded by doubt. The world sees the result, but it ignores the process. You are in your process right now. You are in the quiet grind, the invisible hustle, the uncelebrated stage, the most important part of your journey. When you start with nothing, your path won't look glamorous. It will be slow. It will be painful, but it will shape you. This is your boot camp. This is your test. Every late night, every rejection, every unpaid effort is a lesson. And those lessons are building something more powerful than fame. They're building your foundation. If you skip this training, you'll break later. That's why fast success often leads to fast collapse, because it wasn't built, it was handed. But you're earning every inch. You're building muscle in silence. You're learning how to solve problems, how to lead yourself, how to survive storms. That's what training does. It prepares you not just to reach success, but to sustain it. Stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Their spotlight doesn't erase your value. Their timeline doesn't cancel your potential. Every path is different. Some people bloom early, others bloom strong, but all of it starts with one thing: preparation, and that's where you are. So instead of saying, I'm too late, start saying, I'm just getting ready. Because when your moment comes, you won't need to borrow strength. You'll have it. You'll be battle-tested, mentally sharp, emotionally grounded, strategically focused. You'll walk into your opportunity not as a beginner, but as someone who's earned it. You are not behind. You are in training. Trust the grind. Respect the delay. Don't rush the process. Your time is coming, and when it does, you'll be unstoppable. When you start from nothing, you also start with silence. No claps, no cheers, no likes, no followers. Nobody is congratulating your first step, and that's exactly why most people quit before they even begin. They crave applause more than progress. But listen carefully. If you need validation to move, you'll never go far. Because in the beginning, no one is watching, and no one should be. You think people are supposed to notice your effort. They won't. You think they'll celebrate your idea. They'll doubt it. You think they'll support your vision. Most of them won't even understand it. And that's not a problem. That's power. When no one's looking, you're free to build without judgment. Free to fail, fix, and grow. free to create something real, not something filtered for attention. The journey to greatness is often lonely. People won't clap for your discipline. They won't celebrate your sacrifices. They won't understand your silence, your focus, your hunger, because applause comes at the end, not at the start. You don't need noise right now. You need grit. The truth is, if you build only for recognition, you'll burn out when it doesn't come. But if you build for your mission, for your why, the claps won't matter. You'll wake up, work hard, fail forward, and improve even if no one notices. You'll keep pushing because you're not doing this for approval. You're doing it for purpose. So when your videos get no views, build anyway. When your product gets no buyers, build anyway. When your posts get no likes, build anyway. When your friends don't believe in you, build anyway. Because that's how legends are made, not in applause, but in consistency. Quiet progress becomes loud success. One day the world will ask, where did you come from? And you'll smile because you never left. You were just building in silence. Never beg for attention. Never wait for recognition. Put your head down and do the work. Let your results speak. Let your growth clap for you. Let your success echo so loud it drowns out every doubt that once surrounded you. Nobody will clap now. Build anyway. Right now, you think you're just surviving, just trying to make ends meet, just pushing through the silence, the rejection, the failure. But let me tell you something most people never realize while they're grinding. You're writing a story that someone else will one day read to find their own strength. Every tough day, every lonely night, every tear you've wiped when no one was there to help, it all matters. Because one day someone will be standing exactly where you are now, confused, broke, doubtful, ready to give up. And in that moment, your story will become their blueprint. Your climb will become their confidence. The truth is, your journey isn't just about you. You think you're alone in the fight, but you're actually paving a path for someone who hasn't even started yet. Your pain has purpose. Your silence is shaping your message. Your scars are becoming strength for someone who will one day say, if they did it, I can too. We all look up to the people who made it, but the most powerful stories aren't the polished ones. They're the real ones, the raw ones, the ones that started in chaos and ended in clarity, the ones that prove you don't need perfection to win. You just need persistence. You don't need everything figured out. You just need to keep showing up. You may not have the spotlight now. You may not have the money, the support, the crowd, but you've got the most important thing, the grind. And that grind is writing a legacy. One day, someone will study your failures like a roadmap. They'll replay your early videos, read your early words, trace your early steps, not because they're perfect, but because they're real, because they show what's possible when you start with nothing and build everything. So don't give up. Not now, not ever, because what you're building in silence will one day speak volumes. What you're pushing through now will one day pull someone else forward. Your story is a blueprint in progress, and the world needs it. Build with that in mind. One day, your story will save someone else's. You started with nothing, no money, no connections, no clear path. But now, after walking through the fire, after showing up when no one clapped, after failing forward and building anyway, you've discovered something powerful. You were never truly empty. You just hadn't unlocked what was already inside you. The courage to begin, the hunger to grow, the grit to keep going when everything screamed, quit. That was always there, waiting for a spark. You don't need the perfect conditions. You don't need the approval of the world. What you need is already in your hands. And more importantly, in your heart. Every legend you admire once stood where you are, uncertain, afraid, unqualified. But they made one choice. They started. They built something out of nothing. They stopped waiting and started moving. So can you. Don't let your background define your ceiling. Don't let the noise of others silence your inner voice. And don't let the lack of resources convince you that you lack the right to try. You were made for this climb. You were made for this vision. And when the dust settles, when the world sees what you've created, they won't just see success. They'll see the fight behind it, the story, the struggle, the heart. And that story will echo for generations. So keep building. not for applause, not for fame, but because you believe in what you're becoming. From nothing, you are building everything.